Avalon Cablevision proudly presents for its fourth consecutive season, Sports Personalities. And now here's your host, Ted Patey.
Joining us tonight on Sports Personalities is a former athlete who's played on 4 Memorial Hockey Trophy championships, has his name inscribed on the Boyle Trophy as a member of the Memorial University hockey team in 1968, and he's also a member of the Munn soccer team that won the Canadian College Soccer Championship in 1970 in an exciting series. So joining us tonight on Sports Personalities, Sandy Gibbons. And Sandy, it's certainly a pleasure to have you on Sports Personalities.
Nice to be here too, Ted.
Sandy, you come from a hockey family with your other brothers, Gerard and Brian, but before we get into this real deep, let's just take us back a little while and tell us a little bit about your early start in sport.
Well, I guess my first experience in sport was when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, living across the street from Memorial Stadium, of course, made it very convenient for playing sports. And I guess my first experiences in hockey was through the minor hockey program run by the Royal Canadian Legion, with Wilson Butler running the minor hockey program. And I guess my first experiences were playing in sort of the in-house system, and we moved on up, I guess, through the ranks, through the all-star teams, in which I guess gave us a great opportunity to travel across the province. And for kids, I guess that was a big thing. I remember my first trip on the going to Grand Falls when I was 11 years old, and the big thing with us was going on the train, of course, because there was no road going across the province. And although my first experience in provincial competition, I wasn't very successful. We had lost the championship to Grand Falls. I can't remember at the time what the score was, and I guess that followed right through till the very last year I played hockey in 1981, in which we also lost a championship to Gander, and in between that time, every provincial championship that I ever played on, we won every one of them. Mm-hmm. Minor hockey right on through to senior.
And Sandy, I want to note here that you can probably remember your first senior game of hockey.
Yeah, my first senior game of hockey was in 1968, in which I played with Memorial University. I guess it was my second year at Memorial. And if I remember correctly, my very first game was against St. Bon's, and I remember my coach, Oren Carver, who was coach of our team, I coached as junior the year before, had put me on the team, and my first game I remember scoring 2 goals, and although I never scored too many goals the rest of that season, I was kind of proud of myself for my first game of senior hockey.
And of course, St. Bon's being the big powerhouse all those years, your first 2 goals against St. Bon's, I guess it's easy to remember those.
Yeah, well, I do remember St. Bon's because, of course, St. Bon's being the powerhouse, as a boy growing up, my cousin Dick Power, who used to play, came from Belle Island and played with St. Pat's. He used to take me over to the stadium, and I became the stick boy for St. Pat's hockey team. And I remember I was a stick boy of St. Pat's hockey team, I guess it was 1961 or 60, when St. Pat's dethroned St. Bon's in the Boyle Trophy, and I was a stick boy of the team. And I even got a plaque when St. Pat's, of course, won it. They got trophies, and I remember getting one also, and I was very proud of that moment.
And Sandy, you must remember the excitement of the crowd at the stadium that night.
Oh yes, it was phenomenal, and in fact, if I remember correctly, they won it on St. Patrick's night. I think that was the championship. And I remember afterwards, of course, because Dick Power stayed at our house, boarded with us. Dick had all the crowd come back to our house afterwards, and it was quite a party, as I remember it.
And Sandy, going on a little further down the road, in 1968, as a member of the Munn Bionics hockey team, you had your name inscribed on the Boyle Trophy. I think that was in '68. Yes,
and although it's a sort of a long way by, and I was trying to remember some of the players who were on our team, like Lester Walsh, and I remember Ben Dunn, who sort of became an acquaintance of mine. I guess I would consider him a bit of a friend. He was on our team at the time, and we were both doing phys ed, and I think probably the reason we won is because we had a bunch of hustlers. I remember Ben, he still runs in the marathons, I believe, and I think that probably helped us along the way.
Sandy, what was your reaction when they took out the Boyle Trophy again and put it up for Newfoundland High School Hockey League?
I don't know if I have that many feelings about it. It's probably more. Probably other people have stronger feelings who had played for longer periods of time. You know, to me, it was a great thrill to win the Boyle Trophy. And I remember, I think shortly after that, they took away the Boyle Trophy. But I think it probably should have been just left. If they were going to stop the use of the Boyle Trophy, it should have probably been stopped at the senior hockey level in order to sort of retain the charisma, I guess, that was associated with the Boyle Trophy.
And always an honor to have your name inscribed on the Boyle Trophy, Sandy. But then again, you went on to win 4 Herder Memorial Trophy championships, and that's quite an honor too.
Oh yes, it was, and it was also a great bunch of guys that that played with us. I think was probably a lot of it was a continuation of people who had played minor hockey, had come up through, and we had always won provincial competitions at the minor hockey level, and we continued, I guess, on, and the boys that played on our team, of course, were very hungry because, of course, we as younger guys had always gone down to the stadium to watch the Caps play. I guess they were sort of our heroes. And when we had an opportunity to play with the team, and the Caps hadn't won in a number of years, we were really keen to do it. I guess we were really hungry people. I think part of the thing that helped us along the way, of course, was our coach, Bob Babcock, who had been a member of the original Caps, who had gone on the road many, many times and had lost to Corner Brook and other teams, and not only lost, but were physically beaten. And as a bunch of hungry guys, I guess we, and Bob's leadership, we didn't want that happening to us. And I think that sort of instilled a spirit in our team that we didn't want to lose. And I think another thing associated with this, a lot of teams in which you play on who are winners, or you've been on winning teams, there's something special on the team. There's a comradeship on the team, and also a special spirit on the team. And those Caps teams during that time really had that spirit.
Which Herder Memorial Trophy stands out for you the most, Sandy?
I would say the one that stands out the most had to be 1975. Not so much that we won the Herder, but that we progressed on further and played in the Allen Cup against the Barrie Flyers, which was a very memorable moment. And the reason being even more is that I was captain of the team at the time, and that I remember after one of the games when Barrie hauled their team, the second game when Barrie hauled their team off the ice, I remember having to go and discuss it with the referee and so on, and they awarded the game to us. So it was a very memorable moment.
And of course, in that same series you're talking about now, Sunday, was the big brawl.
Yeah, well, I think that probably started during that week in which the press, of course, were trying to build up the series. And there came a reputation from the mainland that Barrie Flyers were also a very tough team. And we had found it out because we had played a number of exhibition games against some teams from Ontario the week before here in St. John's. And they had mentioned to us that Barrie were a very rough and tough team. And, of course, we had also quite a reputation ourselves. I guess we beat our way through to win 3 Herders. And Bobby Lambert, of course, was our main man. And, of course, the press built Bobby up. And on that game, that first Friday night, Jack's, I forget his last name, the tough player anyway.
Phil Prenson, I think.
Yeah, Phil, yeah. On Barrie Flyers, of course, they also built up him. And when one of their players, I can't remember what it was, but I remember him skating down across in front of our box, breaking down the left wing, and he put a move on Bobby Lambert, but at the last minute, Bobby put out his shoulder and tipped their player over, and he fell to the ice. And while Bobby was standing over looking at the player, I guess afterwards we found out the guy had a broken collarbone or dislocated shoulder. But while Bobby was standing looking over him, this Phil Cranston had come down the ice and cross-checked Bobby over the back of the neck and sort of knocked him into the ice and broke his nose. And I think the only thing probably that saved Bob was that he was such a massive guy and a very muscular person that he never had his neck broken. But after that particular event, everybody poured on the ice, and of course there was, some skirmishes and fighting and so on, which really heated up the bad feelings between the two teams. And that, I guess, carried over into the Saturday night, and then Sunday, of course. Saturday night, they beat us, I think, in the second overtime. I remember being on the ice, and I remember it was about, I would say, 5 or 6 seconds left in the game, and I was going into the corner to pick up the puck, and their man was in the corner. And I remember this flashing through my mind, whether I should slide to block the puck in case he should go to the net, or whether he was going to pass it back to the point. And I sort of turned to the point, and the guy just spun around, slapped it right across in front of the net, and there was someone there, and he tipped it in. I remember how I could have saved that goal.
Sandy, Gerard, and Brian made it to the pro ranks. How close did you come?
Well, Ted, I guess it's a funny story in our family. I came fairly close in that when Brian was invited away to the Hamilton Red Wings, there was a letter sent to the house and it was addressed to Sandy Gibbons, and I guess that's the closest I ever came to making it to the pro ranks.
Sandy, in 1970, Mon soccer team was a great year for Mon as well as for you. You won the Atlantic Soccer Championship, and then you went on to the Canadian College Championship, which you won in quite an exciting series. Now, I understand that you had an injury before that series. You went with the team. You couldn't play. You were injured, but I guess the excitement was there for you as well as the guys on the field.
Oh, yes, it was, and I must say it was a very, very proud moment. It was probably, I wouldn't say it was one of my most memorable moments, one of many I guess I had. That particular team was a development actually over 3 years. I remember the first 2 years we played. Bob Kerr had coached the team. Of course, the Memorial were very strong in soccer, and they had brought some coaches in from England to coach the team. And Bob Kerr coached the team for 2 years in advance of that. And then Alan Ross came along and brought the team along into the championship. That was another team I think that really had a lot of spirit, really had a winning spirit. There were some very good soccer players on our teams. Eddie Arnott, I guess, was our main goal scorer, very, very swift, although was sort of a small player, but very, very swift. And Ron Price from Fortune was another player who combined to get many goals for us.
Of course, Eddie played a big part in that championship game against Loyola College. You guys been down 2-0 with 10 minutes left.
Yes, and although the conditions were very severe when we won our championship and there was snow on the ground, of course, people had said that the only reason we won because we were used to snow, but of course we know that there's not a lot of snow around here, and I think the best team won eventually. And well, of course you would always say that, but we had a very, very good team, very strong team.
Well, like you say, you were down 2-0, 10 minutes left. You tied the game up, winning the overtime, won it 4-2.
Yes.
Sandy, what are you doing in sports today yourself?
Right now, I'm not doing too much in sports. I guess I'm kept fairly busy with my work. My main sports, I guess, now are taking my little boy Timothy to swimming at the Aquarine. He's 2 years old, and I guess that's a big thrill of mine. I guess the same as my mother's thrill was when she took us to the stadium watching him, and I guess it's sort of a reminder to myself of when I was a boy going to sports, and I think that's what I really like. So my main interest right now is swimming on Sunday mornings at the Aquarina, and hopefully I'm going to play a bit of recreation hockey this year.
Sandy, I got a couple of minutes left. I just want to go back to the 72-73 series for your hockey career. Your first year with the senior hockey with the Capitals, you were beaten out for the Rookie of the Year award by, of course, another friend of ours who's not with us anymore, and Gary Conley.
Yes, Gary had a special talent when he was playing hockey. He was a real sniper. I think that year Gary scored 50 goals or 51 goals, because I remember the last couple of games that he was given a few extra shifts to score the goals, and we were very happy about that, especially that it was our first year and we had a player who did so well, and everybody was rooting for him to score his 50 goals.
And of course, two more boys no longer with us, Eddie James and Bobby Hutton, who also you played with.
Yes, Bobby played, I think, in 72, 73, 74, 73, 74. Although I never played with Bobby, but of course Bobby fit right into the spirit of the thing. He was a very, very hard worker, and he was all go. Although Bobby was a smaller player, I guess myself, although I was taller, there was always players to protect him. Of course, the teams that we played with, we had some very big men in Derek Hancock and John Lester and Donnie Quinn and Rick Babstock. They were big men, and I guess the smaller players on the team were protected a lot of times by these guys.
No doubt, Sandy. And when you were talking about former members of the Capitals, do you follow the Capitals hockey team today?
Actually, I did last year. I saw a couple of games during the year, but I still have a holding seat at the stadium. And last year, when the Caps got into playoffs, I followed all the games, and I must say it was very exciting. They had a very good team, and it's good that they have such leadership. I would say that the coach that they have now, Bill Riley, is probably instilling the same spirit as what Bob Babcock instilled in us, because I know that they're a very good team and they're very hard workers.
Sandy, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us tonight on Sports Personalities.
Thank you very much, Ted. It's nice to be here.
Our guest this week on Sports Personalities has been a former hockey great of St. John's, Sandy Gibbons. That's it for this week. See you next week. Good night.